welcome into Cross My Heart Ministry. Lauren McFarland here, ready to release our monthly gift to you. Actually, one of two monthly gifts, but this one is the Do It list. Many of you use this handy tool and we get such sweet feedback from you about what a blessing it is. It sort of came about as the result of all my years of trying to keep home and hearth clean and tidy and organized. And about the time I got it all figured out, my kids were all grown and out the door. So this is me trying to help you come up with a plan and just take the thinking out of it and just jump in and do it. You'll notice as we put it up on the screen that our Do It list has categories for daily, weekly, and monthly tasks. And this is not intended to be legalistic, and it certainly is not intended to be an end in itself. This is simply to give you sort of a guide to how you can get your house in order and free you up to do the more important things, investing in people and investing in ministry and throwing open the door without any shame or guilt, just to be a good steward of what God has given to you. Well, each month we change out a couple of those monthly tasks with seasonal items that need to be added. And the one that we're adding for the month of February is to gather and organize your tax data, because tax season is upon us and that April 15 deadline looms and it will be here before you know it. So the first thing I want to share is just the idea of having a file folder. And this is a folder that I just keep in my desk, and it's just simply labeled income tax. It's not dated. And so during the year, I just open this up and drop receipts and different things in it as they are incurred. If I get a receipt from an organization that we've made a donation to, I drop it in here. If I've had a garage sale and I make a list of the items after the garage sale is over and drop those off at Goodwill or the Salvation Army, I get a receipt and I drop that in here. I want to pay the real estate taxes. I have that receipt, I drop it in here. So I don't ever really have to gather or look for those items. I accumulate all the receipts right in this file. And then when it comes time, during this time of the year, to prepare the tax return, I simply open this up and there the items are. Now, added to it, a lot of things get added to it towards the end of January, first couple of weeks of February, because that's when all the W-2s and the 1099s and all those things start showing up in the mail. If it comes in the mail and it has a note on the outside of the envelope that says important tax document enclosed, then typically that's when I'm going to open up, immediately recycle the envelope, and put the important tax information in here. So this is my best idea for gathering and organizing. Just keep it all together. If you have a home-based business or rental property, you'll want to keep up with those receipts as well and have a system for making sure you do not overlook any of those important tax deductions. You might want to keep those in a separate envelope. You might want to have a special charge card dedicated to just accumulating receipts, always making expenditures with that card. But those are separate. If you have those unique types of income and the expenses that would follow up accordingly. Today, I want to spend our remaining time together sharing 7 income tax deductions that might be overlooked. And these are ones that any person, whether you have a home, whether you have a small business or rental property, everyone could at some time or another benefit from these. The first 3 are charitable related, and the others are just other types of deductions. But I'm just going to go ahead and say that anytime we overlook a tax deduction that can save us some taxes, we're sort of robbing from our father to give to our uncle. And you can probably guess what I mean by that. I mean that we're giving money to Uncle Sam, that if we could save those money in tax dollars, and certainly we want to render unto Caesar what is Caesar, as our Lord Jesus said. But if there's a way that we could save $30 or $40 or $100, then maybe that money could be repurposed and given to the work of our Father's kingdom, to advance the kingdom of King Jesus. Maybe there's a mission trip that a friend or a college student is going on, and you'll decide to take that money and redirect it there. And so that's a way that we can take from our uncle, not give him more than he is due, and give it to our Father and to his work. So here you go. Let's jump into those 7 items that I promised. Number 1 is charitable mileage. Now this one may not sound like a lot because charitable mileage doesn't come close to the deduction that we get for business mileage. It's only 14 cents a mile. But if you find yourself, if you work with the youth at your church and you drive the kids to the mission trip, or if you have some driving that you do for a nonprofit or for your church on a routine basis, those miles can really add up. And so the best thing is just to sort of keep a little log, have a little calendar log where you log those in and add those up at the end of the year. And those can be deducted on Schedule A at 14 cents a mile. It might not be a lot, but every little bit will add up. Number 2, charitable out-of-pocket expenses. Now these might be things that really could end up being a whole lot. Let's say that there's some sort of a mailing that you're doing for an organization, or there are copies to be made or envelopes to be purchased, and you decide, oh, I'll just do that. I'll just let that be my contribution to the charitable work of the organization. And if you buy the stamps and you buy the envelopes and you pay to print the flyers, what have you, all those expenses that you incur, those out-of-pocket expenses, are tax deductible if they are incurred for the benefit of a nonprofit organization or for your church. Number 3, non-cash donations. Now these are the things that when we clean out our closets, we clean out our drawers, we go through our kitchen shelves and we've got dishes or pots and pans or clothing that's in good shape or knickknacks or household items. When we give those things away, they have value. And it's as if we are giving a charitable contribution. And sometimes we're so pleased to have those things out of our house and have that closet that we've tackled be organized. We don't even give it a thought to getting a receipt for those items. But let me tell you, that can really add up to be a lot. When our family had a garage sale, at the end of the garage sale, I didn't bring it back in the house. No, don't want it back in the house. But all those items, I made a list. I just got a notepad. I made a detailed list of what they were. And then you attach a value that's basically just a thrift shop price. That's a fair market value of what that item is worth. If you paid $40 for a dress and you bought it 3 years ago, well, it's not worth $40 because it's not new anymore. But maybe at a thrift shop, that dress would sell for $8, depending upon the brand and the condition and that kind of thing. So there's some different guides you can find online, but basically I just determined what would a thrift shop price be for that item, and that's its fair market value, and that's the amount that you were entitled to deduct. And you may not think that adds up to a lot, but it can be a great deal when you actually start to keep your list and add it up. Now, I'm not talking about holey underwear or socks that are worn out. These things need to be in good condition before we donate them. No one wants a broken toy or a puzzle that's missing half of the pieces. But if it's in good condition and you would be willing to buy it at a garage sale, then it qualifies as a charitable contribution. So you make your list. And so, for example, if you make that list and lo and behold, you're shocked that it actually adds up to be about $500, the thrift shop price of these 3 or 4 pages after your garage sale of items that you've added up. Well, if you're in a 22% tax bracket, you multiply 22% times that $500, that list, taking the time to make that list, saves you $110 in federal income tax. And depending upon your situation or the state you're in, you can add a little bit more if you get to deduct it on your state taxes. So those non-cash contributions really can be quite valuable. Don't overlook those. So the first 3, charitable mileage, charitable out-of-pocket expenses, and non-cash donations, which are also charitable gifts. The next one is sales tax. Now, way back in the day, sales tax was deductible for everybody. In today's day and time, we can deduct sales tax if it's greater than our income tax. So you get one or the other. So if you live in a state that doesn't have an income tax like Texas or Florida, then this would be something you really want to take a look at. Now, no one is going to take the time to add up all their little receipts to figure out how much sales tax you spent during the year, but the IRS kindly provides some tables that based upon your income, you can determine what that amount will be. So don't overlook the ability to write off your sales tax. Number 5 are state taxes paid for the previous year. Now, this is one that's often overlooked. And what I mean by that is if you finished last year's tax return, so that would be your tax return for 2022. And of course, you file that and it's due most likely in April. And when you complete your state income tax return, if you finish it and you came close, but you find that you owe your state maybe $25. And so you write that check for $25, or you put in your checking account number and it's debited from your account, what have you. But you paid in an additional $25 in taxes last April, which was the balance due for the previous year. Well, because that was paid during the 2023 calendar year, that amount is deductible in 2023. So be sure and go back and take a look at your 2022 state income tax return to see if you had some additional taxes that you owed, and that would be deductible. Okay, number 6, points on a refinanced mortgage. If you refinanced your mortgage last year, points that you may have paid to buy that interest rate down, they need to be amortized over the life of that loan. So let's just look at some numbers. If you paid $1,500 in points, and that is a 15-year loan, then that $1,500 is allocated over the 15 years, and you can deduct $100 each year. And so don't overlook those points that you get to deduct. And even more importantly, number 7 are the remaining points when you sell. So that's tip number 7. If you sold a house, if you sold that same house, let's say 5 years in, let's say you had refinanced 5 years ago when interest rates were maybe low, and you had deducted the points for 5 years with using my numbers from the made-up example, $100 a year. At the end of 5 years, there would still be $1,000 of those $1,500 in points left. Well, if you sell that house, then you get to go ahead and deduct all 1,000 points in the year of the sale. So don't overlook those points. Just because you paid for them 5 years ago, they can still continue to generate benefits in the years to come. So I hope that those 7 little tips might give you something to sharpen your pencil and think about as you prepare to do your taxes. And the best advice that I can give you for doing that is the advice that I always gave my children when it came time to writing. They were in college and they had a paper due, or there was a deadline for a speech contest that I was having them get ready for. Any little project that you have to do, putting it off only means that you do it with a lot of stress and anxiety. If we do things early and well in advance, we get to complete those difficult tasks in peace, and we have a chance to sort of let it settle for a little bit, cycle back and look at it with fresh eyes, and be sure we haven't overlooked or left anything out, review it one more time, and make sure it's been done well. And in this case, when it comes to taxes, we want to make sure we haven't left anything on the table, because as women of God, we never want to be found robbing from our Father to give to our uncle. I hope that these tips might help you, and I hope that our do-it list, our monthly do-it list, is a blessing to you. Leave us a note below and let us know what item on the do-it list is always a good reminder for you. Thanks for spending part of your day with us. For Cross My Heart Ministry, I'm Laurie McFarland.